Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I will be drafting a shirt dress pattern with raglan sleeves, but the main focus here will be on the striped silk fabric that I will use. So let's begin with. I started this draft based on my bodice block with one dart in the side seam. I ignored the underbust dart for this dress since I wanted a looser fit from my underbust. For the first draft, I elongated the bodice block to my desired length. The same was done to the back pattern piece. I ignored my two back darts here as well, but instead of having an A-shaped lower portion, I only used the straight skirt part. My first mock-up version was mainly to check the fit, but also to determine how I want the raglan and sleeve to be shaped. The front area was easy, since it's only an angled line, but for the back I played around with different shapes. My initial idea was a yoke area with two pieces cut on different angles and length, but that looked somehow off to me and I abandoned that idea for now. In the end I went with a slightly angled yoke or raglan in my case. I found it easier to have this step on an actual piece of clothing and draw the cut lines. When I put it on I have a better visual understanding than just drafting on a 2D plane. At this point I made two mock-ups to get the sleeve right, and after the second I only had some minor changes before I could cut into my fabric. Here are the pattern pieces for the dress, and what I modified was the edges. So I want to have a curved-ish hem and a little bit of a slit, because otherwise it just looks very boring. I have the back is longer than the front, so the front is a little shorter, and I hope that this curve looks somewhat wide. But yeah, on the top we have the angled yokes. So here we have the back yoke together with a little bit of a grown-on sleeve, more a raglan kind of sleeve. So I combined both of these concepts. I hope it works fine. I have to add the seam allowance because when I sewed this on the fold, attaching the yoke pieces, it was a hell of a mess and it didn't look too neat. So I think I want to sew these together first and then stitch along the center back seam. And then, yeah, have hopefully a neater finish. We will see how that will go, but I hope so. And that is the front piece with this grown-on raglan sleeve thingy and my bust dart going to the side of my chest. I hope this works fine. I also have from the kale shirt this placket piece here. I didn't retrace it since this one is working quite nice and all the markings are here anyway, so I will just use this one. I just marked here where I have to attach it. And yeah, then we are good to go. One more thing that I have to draft, but I think I will draft it once the dress is finished, and then I have an overall look how the dress looks with the fabric. Is the color. I'm not 100% sure what kind of a color I want, if it is a traditional or some stand-up color or whatever. But let me show you the fabric. So this is the fabric, and I moved back. So this is around, I think, 110 or 100 centimeters wide, so it's not super wide. And this is the grain line. So we will see how I will make somewhat perfectly horizontal lines with that dress. It is a silk fabric that I got gifted, so I have no clue where that is coming from. Probably from the 70s even, so it is a very old fabric, but I would really like to use it. And yeah, it has some different kind of stripes. So you have these stripes, and this is, I think, pink. I think that will pink or red. It is maybe more red than pink. And these are grayish, even though they look very whitish. But some of these are gray and some of these are white. And yeah, I think here you can see it maybe a little bit better. So this one is darker than the thin one, and you have this stripy patterns, and then this kind of pattern that looks like, yeah, what you use for giving a wind direction and the intensity of wind, but never mind. Yeah, so you have these kind of patterns on it, and as I said, they are running horizontally, so I have to make sure that these pattern pieces are somewhat straight. So I will make myself some marks on my pattern pieces that I can hopefully get a straight line when I sew this, or cut it out first. And I guess I will not cut anything on the fold, and I also have to check, but I think it should be fine. Yeah, I think my front piece will fit on it, so it's not very wide, but yeah. Until this point, I was excited about the silk fabric, but I quickly realized that the stripes and silk is really just the worst combination to get the pattern aligned properly. I cut the pattern piece flat to avoid any shifting, or at least correcting the shifting fabric before cutting into it. For the details of the placket and where to stitch and cut, I used chalk first and then stitched as well. With that, I made sure that I will not lose my marks while handling my fabric. I'm always a bit scared about sewing in the placket and messing up my fabric, so instead of cutting out all my fabric, I only cut out my front and placket piece. In case of any problems, I could recut the fabric and correct my mistakes. Before I could start with the placket, I pinned and sewed my side darts. Then I moved to interface the pieces and mark the placket opening. The fabric shifted a lot while pinning everything in place, but I took my time and a lot of pins to make sure that everything aligns nicely. After opening the placket and turning everything to the other side, it was time for pressing. A lot of pressing. I started with pinning and sewing the shorter placket before I moved to the longer one. This one is also used to form the triangular shaped ending. It was a bit more fiddly to get a neat finish since the fabric is shifting so much, but lots of needles helped me to tame the fabric. After this was finished, I had the impression the biggest part of the project was done, even though it was only the front piece. I continued cutting out the other pieces, starting with the back piece. This one will have a center back seam where I didn't want to have any misaligning of the fabric. To make sure everything will fit perfectly, I cut out the first piece flat. This one was used to layer over the fabric, aligned it with the pattern of the fabric and pinned it in place. Cutting out the second piece was then a lot easier. For the sleeve placement, I played around with how I like the fabric best. In the end, I settled with a slight angle on the fabric and somewhat matching stripe patterns in the same areas. Here as well, I cut out one piece before using it as a template for the second piece on the fabric. I had concerns about the weight of the fabric at the raglan and shoulder seams. To prevent any stretching, I ironed on some interfacing on all seams. The shoulder seams were sewn first. I wanted the edge to be finished with bias band. This had to be done before sewing the raglans to the front and back piece. I have this bias tape maker in different sizes, which came in handy for the project. It was not too bad to make silk bias band, but I had a little fear the constant heat will damage the silk, even on a lower setting, but I didn't see anything on the fabric. With the sleeves attached to the back, it was time to sew the center back seam. I made sure that I didn't catch my box pleat while sewing the seam and gave everything a proper press before moving to the front sleeve. Next up are the side seams. I pinned everything together until the point where my slit opening begins and sewed the seams. With the dress almost finished, I put it on to figure out what kind of a collar I want. My first thought was a regular one, but when I put it on, I thought it might distract too much from the sleeve pattern. I settled then on a narrow stand-up collar and drafted the band for it. For a neat finish, I pressed the outer collar piece up by the seam allowance before stitching both pieces right sides together. I then attached the inner collar piece to the left side of the fabric and sewed it in place. I gave everything a good press and pinned the edge of the collar down to the right side and sewed it up. Then it was time to press, pin and sew more bias tape. First I finished the edge at the armhole and then the hem. I always forget how long it takes to finish the garment this way, but it was worth it. And here we have the finished shirt dress. I am really happy with the outcome of the dress. The fit around the bust is really just perfect for me. And the print placement of the fabric gives it an interesting detail. My favorite part about this dress is the raglan or yoke detail. The convergent stripes in the back are a nice eye catcher and I couldn't be happier with the outcome. During my construction of the box pleat, I was not sure how good this will look, but seeing it now in the video, it came out really neat. Settling on small grown-on sleeves on the upper area and leaving the armhole open was a good decision. I'm always struggling with regular grown-on sleeves and these might be the better solution for my future projects. I do have quite some fabric left for some more exploration with stripes. If you have any recommendations for future projects, please leave them in the comments down below. Now that I have this lightweight summer dress finished, I hope I will get some wear out of it over the next weeks. What kind of projects are you working on? I would love to hear it from you. Thank you for following along this project and I will see you in my next video. Happy crafting and take care. Bye bye.